Okay, so it's been 20 minutes that this dough has been resting, and you can see that it has spread out a little. So I'm going to try to shape it again, but you will see that the dough is sticking now because when it rests, it will start becoming more sticky. So what we're going to do is give it a light dusting of flour. So I'm going to just use this flour that I had scraped off earlier, and again put it and give it a light dusting from the top, primarily on the sides. And be careful not to put too much flour. You might want to actually dust your palms as well, so that it doesn't stick to your palms. And then slowly release it like this. And once you release it, it starts moving again. Okay, and you can see it's quite wet here, so that's what gives you the traction, the friction required to shape it. And you can see how it's beginning to form shape again. It's looking nice. You can notice at this point it's what some people describe as pillowy. It's no longer sticky, it's like a really soft pillow. That's how you want it to be. That's going to make a nice crumb. If some big air pockets form, you can just break them, or you can leave them if you don't mind the air pockets. Okay, next we are going to put this in a banneton and let it proof. This is a banneton that I got off of Amazon. It came with this cover. So the way to use it is you can put this cover like this on the banneton, and then you can dust this with rice flour, and you then put the dough in here, or you can use it without the cover and you can dust this with rice flour. And you do that if you want the lines here to appear, and it gives some texture to your bread. So if you want to make it more decorative, you can put the flour directly, the dough directly in the banneton, but make sure you line it with rice flour. You should use rice flour and not the bread flour, because the bread flour will simply mix in, whereas the rice flour will actually keep the dough from sticking to the banneton. Instead of the banneton, you can use any kind of a large bowl that you might want to use. I prefer to use this. I have about 300 grams of flour. That fits very nicely here. If I put it in the banneton is better for making a bigger loaf. If I put it in here, it will spread too much, and so I'll get a thinner loaf of bread, whereas here I will get it to rise better. It's a smaller bowl but higher dome. So I'm going to line this with the cloth, and then I'm going to dust it with rice flour. Here is some rice flour, and so I'm going to put the rice flour in here gently, and then gently dust it. Yep, that should do it. So you can see a nice dusting of rice flour, and then what we do is we just pick this with our scraper, and what you want to do is this side should actually go down, and the bottom is what you will see. It's a lot less smooth than this side, and that's the one that you want on the top, the one that has the seam. So you can see the seam here, and I'm just going to put the dough in. And it's almost filled the bowl, and now we are again going to let it rest for about 1.5 hours. So I'll let it rest for half an hour, and then I'll turn on my oven because it takes an hour for the oven to heat up. So by the time the oven has heated up, it's going to be 1.5 hours. So we again make sure that we cover it so that it doesn't dry off.